Ladies and gents, welcome to GRX, and this is A-10's The Ruthless Hunt in the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, AI Telly. I like this channel because of all the channels I see, this is the only channel that posts regularly and the channel that has graphics and like animations to it. So it gives you visual idea of basically what's happening, right? So yeah, I mean, we kind of know that judging from like how things work with everyday updates, but it's going to be interesting to see like details of it. Now obviously a lot of time AI Telly doesn't know and he makes an educated guess, but we'll see, I guess, right? Because we kind of have a general idea of how this working. But yeah, let's do this one.
The A-10 Thunderbolt is suited for the Strait of Hormuz. While the U.S. Air Force has been trying to retire the aging A-10 for years to free up budget for fifth-generation stealth fighters like the F-35. However, the geography and asymmetric threats of the Strait of Hormuz have made the Warthog temporarily indispensable. They fly low and can slow down the flight speed. Modern jets often fly too fast and high to effectively track small, agile boats swarming in a tight littoral coastal environment.
That is what I said when they said like F-16 is going to replace A-10. How? A-10s are supposed to be slow and attack planes.
A-10 is built to fly close to the surface, allowing pilots to visually identify and engage small, erratic targets. One of the main advantages is that it also has massive loiter time. The A-10 can circle above the strait for hours. This persistent overwatch allows them to wait patiently for IRGC boats to emerge from hidden coastal inlets before striking. As we also know, the strait is heavily defended by man-portable air defense systems and small arms fire. To counter small firearms, the A-10's titanium bathtub cockpit armor and redundant flight systems allow it to absorb heavy anti-aircraft fire and keep flying, a risk the military is less willing to take with the F-35 $100 million stealth fighter jet. But the A-10s are not operating in alone. They are currently acting as part of a layered tactical network, working directly alongside Apache attack helicopters, which are also hunting boats and intercepting one-way attack drones in the Strait of Hormuz. So, why exactly is the military keeping the A-10 in the fight? It all comes down to the rugged engineering behind its airframe. But to see why this plane refuses to die, we first have to crack it open and understand how it actually works. The A-10 is a ground attack aircraft primarily constructed from aluminum alloys. Its airframe consists of multiple independent beams that run along the length of the fuselage and wings, providing exceptional structural integrity. Since these aircraft operate at very low altitudes to support ground troops, they often face intense enemy fire. To withstand such conditions, the A-10 is designed with a rugged airframe capable of absorbing significant battle damage.
See, as an engineer, I know this, like you can engineer structure based on your needs. If you were going to make a plane that's all based on aerodynamics and not based on like, I don't know, bullet holes or something, like attack of any kind, you structure it in a way that it's stiffer, right? It's very aerodynamic, but you spread it out in a way that it's light, right? You can apply the same methodology in cars as well. Modern cars are monocoque chassis, so it's lighter, it's stiffer, right? You can kind of see in a similar way. You can make planes and make it in a way, the structure that's uniform, lighter. A-10 has beams and things because they knew that this plane is going to get damaged. So even if it gets a lot of damage, the structure is still going to be there, keeping the plane intact. While other planes, the whole parts could be part of the structure, like how monocoques are in cars. So if a structure gets damaged, that's the plane's entire frame getting damaged. That's not going to be the case with the A-10s, right? So A-10 can take a lot of damage. On top of that, the wings are made in a way that obviously can seal off the damage so fuel doesn't leak out. There is a bucket underneath the pilot, so even that is protected. A-10 is like an engineering marvel at a lot of levels, right? Which if they don't replace it, like that's going to be a big gap in the, like future warfare. Because Americans, I think, like the military is thinking in a way like, what if we fight China or some powerful country? Most countries are not powerful. So just like the Iran thing, what if there are places where you can use A-10? So you shouldn't just retire it. Either make a replacement or keep it. It's not always going to be China or Russia or something that's too powerful that something like a slow A-10 attack plane is going to be vulnerable.
It features extensive armor protection around the cockpit, and the glass is also bulletproof and other critical components, making it exceptionally durable for close air support missions. In fact, the A-10's cockpit is encased in titanium armor, also called the bathtub, weighing approximately 1,200 pounds, which translates 540 kilograms, allowing it to withstand heavy impacts and continue flying even in hostile environments. Let's start from the front. This aircraft, along with its entire frame, was built specifically to accommodate this massive gun. Because of that, the landing gear had to be pushed to the sides. To give you an idea of its scale, let's compare it to a person. You can see just how huge it is. From this top angle, you'll notice that the gun is slightly off-center. This is named as the GAU-8 Avenger, a 30mm cannon, and it's actually angled downward by a few degrees. The GAU-8 Avenger uses a 7-barrel Gatling design where barrels rotate around a central axis. Each barrel fires sequentially, allowing rapid cooling between shots and reducing wear. The rotation is powered by dual hydraulic motors producing 77 horsepower, which spin the barrels at high speeds, achieving a rate of fire of 3,900 rounds per minute, down from an initial 4,200 revolutions per minute to extend barrel life. It also employs a double-ended, linkless feed system that cycles spent casings back into the drum magazine instead of ejecting them. This prevents imbalance.
I mean, it's a huge bullet, right? Like bigger than people's fist that weighs like a half a pound or something. So, first of all, like, I'm pretty sure they recover this shell casing so they can use it, but that's not the case. That's not the only case. I think, you know, the shells dropping below, yeah, it would be an issue, anything that's below, especially if you're like trying to put support. If you're trying to give support to your own troops, you don't want to drop shellings on your own troops and hitting them from way above. Half a pound, that's insane weight.
Is in the aircraft's center of gravity and avoids debris ingestion by engines. The drum holds up to 1,174 rounds, typically loaded with 1,150, and requires a specialized reloading, a process that can take hours due to the system's complexity. The gun generates 10,045 kilonewton of recoil, more than one of the A-10's TF-34 engines, which produces 9,065 pounds each. To counteract this, the gun is mounted off-center, slightly to the port side. This design balances recoil forces, preventing pitch or yaw deviations during firing. The reason for the high recoil is because of the size of these rounds. For reference, this is a standard bullet. Right next to it is a 50 caliber round.
Yeah, 5.56 is not standard, but yeah, it's standard bullet, why not? That's 50 BMG, the big boy that we all know of, right? What is that, beret, the proper 50 cal sniper that we often think of? There you go, 50 BMG, the big one.
Finally, this is the massive 30mm bullet used in the GAU-8 Avenger.
That is insane. That's like an assault rifle ammo, 5.56, right? Assault rifle ammo. That's a proper sniper rifle, or like a 50 cal machine gun ammo, 50 BMG. Compared to this, oh my god, look at the size.
Avenger. To put things into perspective, let's compare it to the size of a human hand, and it is enormous. To help you understand better, this is a cross-section of an armor-piercing incendiary round made with a depleted uranium penetrator. Just below that is the jacket, followed by a tracer round, propellant charge, and finally the electric primer. When fired, it can pass through 38mm of steel when fired from a range of 1,000 meters. Moving back to the front, the two objects positioned just above the gun and the forward radar warning receiver. To create a 360-degree protection, these are also fitted on the wings on each side and finally on the tip of the tail. They are essential for a ground attack jet, as heat-seeking missiles always pose a potential threat.
Yeah.
When a target is locked by radar and illuminated by a continuous wave or pulse Doppler signal, used for missiles with a semi-active radar seeker, these radar warning receivers pick it up. The HUD and display unit alert the pilot and activate countermeasures such as flares to confuse incoming missiles, helping to prevent a fatal crash. Even for civilians, there are countless bad actors targeting our computers, which is why we need a defense mechanism.
Hey, well, go to original video page, link here. From there, support this channel.
Guarantee. Step over here. If you open this hatch, you'll find a ladder, which makes this one of the few military jets with a built-in way to climb straight into the cockpit. Once inside, you'll notice everything's clearly labeled with most of its parts, so feel free to take your time exploring before we dive into learning how to fire the GAU-8 Avenger cannon. Right in front of you are the center stick controls. The red button on top is the weapon release, and just below that, you'll find the trigger for the gun. To use the GAU-8, first flip the red gun safety switch to Gun Pack ARM. This activates both the cannon and the precision attack control system. Once you've locked onto a target, line up the upper dot of the reticle and hold down the first stage trigger on the target as shown here. When you're within a mile of the target, pull the trigger all the way. This unleashes a barrage of rounds.
Oh God, imagine that feeling, right? Flying it, target locked, and you push that button and just like you hear the insane amount of vibration, the whole thing shaking, and the sound of it with vibration. And you seeing streak of bullets because of trace around, streak of bullets just like hitting things. That is an insane power.
Powerful enough to take out tanks or lightly armored vehicles. Now that you've got the hang of the gun, let's talk about dropping bombs in case you come across one of these. For a bombing run, the pilot arcs into a semicircular dive toward the target but releases the bomb halfway through the maneuver. Thanks to physics, the bomb inherits the plane's forward speed at that moment, meaning it keeps flying ahead at the same velocity. With GPS guidance, it then glides precisely to its target.
It doesn't inherit it, it has it because it was part of the plane. Before you released it, it already had this moment, yeah.
Target. Inside the cockpit, let's take a look at the process of dropping gravity bombs. This is the velocity vector, indicates the direction your aircraft is currently moving. Just below it is the computer-calculated impact point. The large line extending outward represents the projected weapon fall line. Here you can see the weapon selection symbology and just below it, the selected weapon. In this case, the Mark 82 bomb. Now the most important part to ensure accuracy, align the computer-calculated impact point with the velocity vector of the aircraft, while also making sure the projected weapon straight line with the target. This is what the impact fall line would look like. Keep in mind that these Mark 82 bombs are often equipped with a GPS guidance kit for greater precision.
Oh yeah.
When the targeting symbology aligns over the target, the pilot presses...
I guess you don't even need to be that accurate from the like console in front of you, because those things have like guidance themselves.
This is the top release button on the control stick. From that moment, physics, gravity, and the GPS bomb kit take over, guiding it toward its mark. Let's consider this scenario, supporting ground troops who are under heavy fire and pinned down by armored tanks and heavy artillery bombardment. It all begins with reconnaissance or troops that needed fire support. They scan the battlefield, pinpointing enemy positions.
If there is any situation where this is the case, where these are Americans and some tanks are approaching, somebody failed really badly in the command structure of the military. Why was this the case? But yeah, I guess it's a support attack plane, so let's think about the extreme scenarios like this.
And relaying vital intelligence with precise coordinates. Once the plan is in place, the A-10's take off and head toward the target area. Flying at low altitudes, they use terrain features for cover, avoiding enemy radar detection. Throughout the approach, they maintain constant communication with ground units, receiving real-time updates and adjusting their tactics as needed. As they close in, the A-10's unleash their iconic GAU-8 Avenger cannons, tearing through armored vehicles and artillery positions. But they need to change their strategy against heavily armored targets. They can use guided munitions or Hellfire missiles for moving targets, delivering devastating precision against enemy tanks. Smoke rises from the battlefield as the Thunderbolts rain down their firepower. But their mission doesn't end with the initial strike. The A-10's remain on station, providing critical close air support. As ground troops push forward, the pilots stay ready to respond instantly to enemy resistance and clear the path ahead. The A-10's engines are mounted high on the fuselage, a design choice that helps reduce the risk of damage from foreign object when flying in partially damaged airports. This is how it works. The fan rotor draws in ambient air.
This is why the inbuilt ladder, because you might not have it because you landed somewhere which is not really an airport.
Which undergoes powerful compression in both the low pressure and high pressure compressors. Subsequently, the air enters the combustor, where fuel injection occurs. This process generates a continuous combustion of fuel and air, reaching temperatures about 1,000 degrees Celsius. The resulting heat causes the gas to expand, leading it to escape from the combustor with high energy, flowing through both the high and low pressure turbines. As a consequence, the turbine blades rotate. The energy liberated by this process drives both the compressor and the fan. Finally, the remaining exhaust gases exit through the nozzle, generating thrust. Unlike traditional jet engines, the TF-34G100 produces relatively cooler and slower-moving exhaust, reducing its heat signature and making the A-10 harder to detect with infrared sensors.
Wow. Where'd that come from? I thought A-10 was old, and A-10's gonna suck when it comes to any kind of stealth. It doesn't have heat coming out of the exhaust, so heat-seeking missiles would have a harder time. This is basically America. Why not? Even decades old plane like that is gonna have that thing.
Power generated by the engine needs fuel, and it comes from these 4 compartmentalized self-sealing tanks. Here you'll find the forward fuel tank 1 and the rear fuel tank number 2. Moving to the sides, you'll see 2 additional wing fuel tanks. Opening this lid reveals the single-point refueling section. Through this refueling point, you can pump in up to 11,000 pounds of aircraft fuel. To put that into perspective, that's enough to fill about 20 school buses, assuming they use the same fuel type and each has an 80-gallon tank.
5 metric ton.
These are the flaps on the A-10. When extended, they increase the wing's surface area and curvature, allowing the aircraft to maintain controlled flight during takeoff, landing, and slow-speed maneuvers. Here are the slats. These help manage airflow over the wings, especially at high angles of attack, ensuring the aircraft remains stable and controllable even during sharp turns or aggressive maneuvers. The rudder mounted on the vertical stabilizer at the tail is the A-10's primary means of controlling yaw, the side-to-side movement of the aircraft's nose.
This is instrumental because it's an attack plane. You need insane precision, especially when you're using the Avenger to shoot down things, right? And it's a very slow plane. So when your speed is low in a flying object, you need insane amount of control to have like maneuverability. Because speed is important if you want to maneuver fast. If it's slower, it's going to be harder to move around. So all those things are really important. So when you really think about planes like A-10s are harder to pull off in a way. And there's a higher chance of failure. But everything I read about A-10, and I've read about a lot of A-10, even beyond this reaction, like, documents and things, A-10 is insane. AC-130 in its own way is also insane. These are 2 attack planes that I know of from America, which is like point-blank heavyweight when it comes to anything attack. If you have A-10 and AC-130 circling on top, attack element is done. Like, you have support.
Finally, the air brakes are one of the A-10's most distinctive features. These large panels extend from the fuselage just behind the wings, creating significant drag. They allow the A-10 to transition from high-speed flight to low-speed maneuvering without compromising stability, making them an indispensable tool for close air support missions. In case the military needs you, let's go over how to start this plane. First, set the inverter to standby.
In case military forgot to tell you when you're about to fly A-10, this channel is going to tell you. There you go.
Turn on the battery power. Next, start the APU or auxiliary power unit. Wait for the APU gauge to reach 100%. Now start the left engine by setting the throttle to the idle position. Once the left engine is running smoothly, start the right engine. After both engines are up and running, turn off the APU. Finally, set all displays to either day or night mode depending on your needs. And just like that, full throttle and raising the control unit and you're ready to go.
This is what the fighter pilots makes the big bucks. You need to remember all that. Even the pressure is high and like intensity is happening, you need to rush it. Ground support is needed, panic, but you need to remember all that.
We make original videos from scratch.
There you go. Yeah, this is why I like this channel, like all these details. Like I would have never known it. I'm never going near an A-10, but this was fun, right? All the buttons and how things work. There's an insane amount of detail that you need to remember. All right, well, if you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.